Hello, everybody. How are you? Let me hope that we are quite well in this moment. Okay, welcome uh, to Napoleon Firos TV. Uh, this is a time of learning. I'm teacher Napoleon. Okay, as I have promised in the last session, today we are going to continue with different effect or consequences of colonization in Africa. In this consequence or effect, we are going to focus on different positive effects and negative effects of European colonization in Africa. Positive effects and negative effects of European colonization in Africa. After 1870 up to 1960s, Africans had far-reaching to different effects of European colonization in Africa. Let's begin with positive effect. Colonization led to creation of bigger states in Africa, or bigger African states, creation of big African states, where different small states were created by colonialists. Colonization led to the abolition or stop of slavery and slave trade. Slave trade and slavery were stopped or abolished in different parts of Africa. Nyangezi, Kame, and Yao were abolished because they were involved in slave trade. Colonization led to the development of agriculture in Africa. This was due to the fact that they introduced new crops in Africa, such as coffee, cotton, Irish potatoes, cocoa, and tea, among others. Therefore, the introduction of new crops in Africa was another positive effect of colonization, or European colonization in Africa. Colonization introduced Western education in Africa. This led to gain new scientific knowledge and new language, such as English and French in Africa. Today, some African countries, French and English taken as national language. Let's have an example in Rwanda. We have three, at least four, maybe, national languages, including English. We have French, we have English, Swahili, and Kinyarwanda. Okay. Colonization spread Christianity in Africa. This led to some African societies and communities to drop their traditional religion and adopt Christians and converted into Christians and dropped or read their traditional beliefs, then converted into Christians. Yeah. Then there was the growth of towns and the urban centers. Urban centers. Okay. Due to colonization, the urban centers and towns were introduced in Africa, where the base of administration of colonialists were located. There was a introduction of Western culture. Western culture, like the culture of eating, culture of dancing and dressing, introduced in Africa. There was the rise of nationalism. Different or some African countries, they raised, they didn't want, they wanted to rule themselves instead of being ruled by colonialists. Yeah. Colonization led to creation of some rebellions from resistance. When European colonialists arrived in Africa, some Africans collaborated, whereas others resisted. So those who resisted created rebellions like Shona Devil rebellions, March rebellions in Tanzania, Mau Mau rebellions in Kenya. Those rebellions were created in order to agitate for Europeans. So let's continue with some negative effect. There was a loss of independence for some African chiefs. Some African chiefs and kings were removed from the power. Therefore, the African chiefs, by removing from the power, they lost their glory and prestige. These European colonialists introduced the policy of divide and rule, so as to rule and manage some African countries. This created hatred and disunity among African countries. This was what happened in Rwanda, where the Belgians, to rule Rwanda, it was very difficult. Because we had our specific culture. We were Rwandans. And to divide the Rwandans were very difficult. Therefore, they introduced the policy of divide and rule so as to rule Rwandans easily, so that they could manage and rule Rwandans easily. Therefore, Bajians introduced a policy of divide and rule, where they created ethnics among the Rwandans by introducing some ethnic groups like Hutu and Tutsi and Twa. So there was collapse of some African culture. Some Africans started to adopt European culture, such as dressing, eating, and dancing. And some African societies and communities dropped their traditional religion and converted into Christianism. European colonialists or European countries exploited some African resources such as gold, copper, and other some natural resources. Okay. Colonialists led also the introduction of rebellions, such as Machi rebellions in Tanzania, Shonandebele rebellions, Mau Mau rebellions. Do you know the meaning of Mau Mau? When we say Mau Mau, means Mzungu arudi Ulaya, mweusi apate uhuru. Umuzungu asubire i Buraya, umwirabura abone ubwigenge. Mzungu arudi Ulaya, mweusi apande uhuru. Mzungu asubireyo, mweusi ni black people, afate uhuru, abone ubwigenge. That's what Mau Mau rebellion in Kenya meant. Okay, flowers. Without wasting our time, let's stop by here. We shall continue next day. Okay, thank you for listening and following this lesson of today, talking about only consequence of European colonization in Africa. Thank you very much. Enjoy the course. Bye bye.